God, please cut this out.
I'm going to cut it out. I knew that'd get a laugh out of Mike. I was curious to see what Caroline's reaction would be.
Cut this whole thing out.
We're cutting the whole episode, honestly.
Is out.
This is a missing episode. It's not going to be released. We'll be back at you next week with another film. Welcome back, citizens of De Niro Nation, to Our Hero De Niro, the only podcast that is watching and recapping Robert De Niro's entire filmography in random order. I'm Mike, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Mike.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, you sound happy to be here. I'm bringing the guest in. Yeah, I'm bringing the guest in. I mean, you're not supposed to talk before I introduce you, but it's fine. I'm bringing in a guest. We've had her before.
Just mute her audio track.
I'm obviously not going to do that since I mentioned it. We're already going off the rails. Guys, you know her. You love her. She was our guest in our episode about Mary Shelley's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Mary. Good God, sir.
Whoa, whatever. I've heard it both ways. She is the creator of our podcast artwork. She is Mike the Fab's wife, and I'm proud to call her my close acquaintance. Guys, it's Caroline back for her second guest spot. Caroline, how you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling just so good. I'm twice as pumped as before, and I have twice as many notes.
That's great. We had to bring Caroline in today because for those who don't remember, she's our literary adaptation consultant. I think that's like the official title, right? That's kind of where we landed with it.
I mean, I think that's up to you.
It was.
Yeah. But yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and she has the bona fides. She has a master's in English with a concentration in creative writing. I didn't have to remember that because I wrote it down earlier.
Did you know that it's actually bona fides?
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something Caroline could tell you since she has a master's degree in English.
I heard that recently, and I thought that the person who said that was like purposefully mispronouncing it.
No, I think that's true. Let's Google it.
Well, if it's Latin, then that would make sense.
I only speak Pig Latin.
Yep. Bona fides.
Wow.
Right at the top of Google when you type it in.
Today in the podcast, we brought Caroline in because we're discussing another loose adaptation of a novel this time. We're discussing the 1997 American black comedy political satire film Wag the Dog, starring Dustin Hoffman and, of course, Robert De Niro. This was produced and directed by Barry Levinson, who also directed the films that we've covered on this podcast, The Alto Knights and Sleepers. So this film was loosely based on a novel called, what was it called?
It was originally published as American Hero and then was re-released as Wag the Dog. And it is by Larry. I looked this up and the internet told me Bainart. So Larry Bainart. But it looks like Beanhart or Beanhart. I don't know.
Well, Larry Beanhart. I will say.
Until I looked it up.
I like Beanhart.
I like Beanhart too. Sorry, Larry, if you're listening.
Yeah, sorry, Larry. I think Wag the Dog is a better title than American Hero too.
I do too.
But this film was a critical and commercial success. It made $64 million on a $15 million budget. Pretty darn good for 1997. And Dustin Hoffman actually received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actor for his performance, which is pretty impressive. Also, this film was co-written by David Mamet and Hilary Henkin. So we're getting another Barry Levinson film. We're getting another David Mamet. Yeah, a lot of... Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah. It's kind of fun how we're doing a podcast about Robert De Niro's filmography, but it's also kind of like a secret Barry Levinson podcast because they're clearly like close collaborators.
It is really nice.
But for this episode, we're trying something a little different. We came up with an idea that I did not remember, but Mike reminded me, and we're actually going to let Caroline lead the film recap today. Are you excited for this, Caroline? How are you feeling going into your first recap?
I feel great. I feel like a tail that's wagging two dogs.
Wow. I can't wait to hear what that means. Well, okay. Interesting.
Got that dog in you.
Yep.
All right. With that, we're going to hand it over to Caroline to get this party started.
All right. Wag the Dog. So the movie opens with an aggressively 90s era campaign ad for a president. The campaign slogan is "Don't change horses in midstream." This slogan is very stupid and the ad is very bad. It's a running joke and we'll see that ad again. So the campaign is for the current sitting president, and we are dropped in the middle of a crisis because the president has been caught trying to diddle a Firefly girl in the Oval Office. So basically a Girl Scout.
Yeah. I think Mike's about to say the exact same thing I want to say.
Well, no, please go ahead.
So they just say Firefly Girl like in this movie as though this is something that people know about. Is this a real thing or is this like a fictitious version of the Girl Scouts? I've never heard of this.
I didn't look into it. I don't know. Do you know, Caroline?
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I've never heard of a Firefly Girl before. I would say like maybe the Girl Scouts didn't want to be associated with this film, but there's another.
Yep.
There is a line where one of the characters is like, "Oh, didn't he fuck a Girl Scout?" And someone says,
Right.
"Oh, it was a Firefly Girl." So I don't know if that had to do with legally with the Girl Scouts or not, but I don't think there are Firefly Girls. If there are, I'm sorry that.
I wanted to ask about this inciting incident, this crisis. So is this the same in the book? Does he have sexual relations with a teenage girl?
No, he does not. In fact, the book opens at the deathbed of Lee Atwater, who has one last big idea to get the current sitting president reelected, and that president is George H.W. Bush.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're really veering in a different direction then.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and it's an interesting direction. I mean, we can revisit this question, later on in the podcast as we kind of go through the story. But like, I think this is a very interesting conceit because it's obviously meant to be satirical, but like even today, right? And we clearly have fallen so far in terms of what kind of personal conduct we'll accept on the part of our politicians over the past 10 or 15 years. But even today, do you guys think that anything could distract from a sitting president having had sexual relations with a child, like while in office? I really don't think even a war could like distract from that as a scandal. Just the severity of that misconduct on the part of such an important person.
That's the thing. That's actually what I was going to ask originally. How did you guys feel about this crisis in the context of the narrative? Because it's not just the president had some sort of illicit affair. It's not the president had sex with a sex worker or whatever. It's an underage girl. I feel like that would be really
like
hard to look past.
Right.
So in the Oval Office, inside of the Oval Office, this occurs.
There's a lot of I think relatively universal bipartisan, recrimination about child molestation. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you'd survive that scandal, no matter what distraction was used. So I don't know. The satire, it strains credulity a little bit in that moment for me.
It does. I agree with that. I do think that it's just part of the pitch black hue of this comedy that something which is really the worst possible thing that you can do while really being anybody, and the fact that anything can distract the public from it is just part of this movie's black humorness.
I think this film is pretty prescient, actually, because if the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's that the general electorate, is very stupid.
Yes.
So, maybe it would work. We're going to war.
Just need to wave your hand and jingle your keys, and they'll vote for the keys. I say they. I'm a part of this. I'm also a part of this country.
Yeah, you wrote in vote for
Us versus them
keys.
Got us here.
Yep.
And what a beautiful country it is.
Anyway, enter Conrad Breen, who is our friend Bobby D. He's here, and he's here to fix everything. He is what?
Well, Mike's got to say.
Oh yeah, well,
Well, I don't-
give
You wrote
us
it
the
down,
timestamp.
yeah.
Give us the timestamp.
Listen, you didn't have to cut her off. I was going to let her know about her failure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. I do. Yep.
Yes, we get our first De Niro face reveal at 1 minute and 32 seconds.
Yep. And so he comes in, and this movie is very fast-paced, very, just very punchy, and it just kind of starts going as soon as he comes in, and it's like pedal to the metal for the entire time. So he comes in, what did the president do? Did he hire an illegal alien or something? No, it was the Firefly Girl thing. So he says he's going to need at least a day to work on this. There is a line where Winifred Ames, who is the press secretary for the president, played by Anne Heche, she says, well, don't you want to know if it's true? And he says, well, it's on TV. That means that it's true. So doesn't really matter what truth is, because the reality is whatever we see on TV. It's all just pictures and nonsense.
So I want to stop here for a moment. This is the first Anne Heche movie I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Like, have you ever seen her in something?
I've seen her in a few things before, but I don't remember what they were.
Yeah, I just so I don't think I'd ever seen her in anything. I'd never heard of her before I watched this movie. Just like an incredible blind spot for me. I think she might be the most attractive woman I have ever seen in a movie in my life.
Really?
Like, it's kind of mind blowing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, she was, and she does an amazing job. All of the whole cast does an amazing job. They're all very good. So yeah, continuing. So Conrad Breen decides that he is going to need to conjure something obviously really big to distract the public from this. Election day is in 12 days, so there's not a lot of time to get the public to be back on the president's side. The story is going to break in the next few hours. So he decides the only thing that is going to distract the public is a war. And of course, everyone is saying, oh, you can't just make up a war. We're not at war with anybody, like whatever. But he says he goes to Hollywood to find a producer played by Dustin Hoffman, and he pitches the idea. America's going to go to war. And he also mentions while on the plane to Hollywood with Winifred Anne Heche, he mentions that the way that the public consumes wars is via the media. So whatever the media, whatever is on the media becomes reality for so many people. Like the Vietnam War is the Napalm Girl, that picture. And of course that was real. You know, the war photos and whatnot that we have, they're all real. But what if they weren't? We wouldn't know. And today, we really don't. So that's too bad that we live in that universe now.
I think some of us can still tell for now, but yes, I'm concerned about where that technology is going to be in the near future. I will say this movie does provide an answer to the age-old question asked by the Temptations. War, what is it good for?
I mean, yeah, distracting from this scandal, I guess.
Yep. So Breen he's talking about how, war and the media controls reality to a great degree. This is one place where the movie and the book do sort of intersect. In the movie, there's talk about a clip from a recent war of a bomb going down a chimney. And that sends the message to the public that this war is surgery, it isn't a slaughter, so it's a good war. It's not like Vietnam. And the book also talks a lot about this. I looked for this clip to see if it was a real clip. I don't think that it is. It seems like it's a clip that people have talked about existing, but I couldn't find it, and I didn't really want to watch it anyway, since presumably it would have been a snuff video, and I don't like to watch that sort of thing. There was a war crime that occurred that we did that would have looked similarly, but I don't think that was released as a mode of propaganda because it was a war crime. So
this clip that supposedly exists is of a bomb going down a chimney?
Yes, to prove that the smart bombs that we have, they are so good. We don't do the wholesale slaughter. We don't do like slash and burn anymore. Right now we have one very fine target. We can send a bomb and we can drop it on a dime to pick out exactly who we need to kill. And this war is good because we're doing it very carefully. And that's what that video says. Wow,
whoever was on the receiving end must have been really naughty that year.
Jesus Christ, man.
I don't know how I didn't know that was what you were going to say. So obvious in retrospect.
Just waiting for joke. Caroline to say whatever she was going to say.
Oh, that was good. That was good. All right. Anyway, he ends up in Hollywood and calls upon Dustin Hoffman, who is a Hollywood producer. He lives in a palatial estate, and he's just kind of a dirtbag. Everybody in this movie is an amoral dirtbag who will do anything to the ends always justify the means, and the ends aren't even that great.
Mike, can you describe the personalities of our three main characters for us? Dustin Hoffman, the producer, Robert De Niro, the fixer, and Anne Heche, the... What is she?
I think she's the press secretary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. So I don't remember the Dustin Hoffman character's name. What's that character's name?
Motz.
Stanley Motz.
Motz. So Stanley Motz. So they're all pretty nihilistic, right? All three of the characters are. I think Motz is probably the most nihilistic of the three characters. Motz is he is a completely nihilistic film producer, right? He's like some kind of Hollywood big shot. He lives in this palatial mansion. It looks like it's probably 20 or 30,000 square feet. And he's just doing this for fun, essentially. Like he sees this as like a really complex production that he can kind of like conduct like his orchestra. But there's a scene, right? I don't know if Caroline's going to reference it, where like a bunch of them talk about whether they vote, like a bunch of these like Hollywood types, and like Stanley asks or acts scandalized that the people he's talking to don't vote, and then he says that he doesn't vote. So like he doesn't care about any of this. He's a total nihilist. Like none of this matters to him. But then you've got Breen, right? And like Breen and Winifred, they're like doing their job, right? Like they like, you know, presumably Winifred like believes in the president, right? And like that he is the right person to be the president, maybe somewhat earnestly, but also probably to a certain extent because he's her boss. And, you know, if he's not the president, she's not going to get to be, you know, a member of the president's staff. And this is Breen's livelihood, right? Like this is like the thing that he's good at. But there is like a dark thread of nihilism through all these characters, I think, which is, you know, to our earlier discussion, it's kind of the undercurrent of the satire, is the idea that like this is what politics is like, right? Like nobody is actually trying to achieve anything. It's just a game, like a team sport that these two sides are playing against each other.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you.
Just such an honor to be here.
As you said, husband Mike, Motz is doing this because he thinks it would be a fun project, and he says that he'd do it just for a story to tell.
I love this scene.
And so Breen says, well, you could never tell anybody that you did this. And then he says, oh, I know, that's fine. I don't care. He cares. And so that's foreshadowing. So the war planning begins. Stanley calls in a bunch of his Hollywood friends. He's got contacts everywhere. He has Willie Nelson come in. He plays basically a fictionalized version of himself.
Right. That really threw me off because I thought he was just playing himself. He didn't change his wardrobe or anything. He looks like Willie Nelson. So I was surprised when they said it. Yeah, okay, Johnny Dean. Yeah.
Johnny. He's riding in a pickup truck with a shotgun and a dog. They say that line twice, and Stanley thinks it's hilarious. And anyway, so the war planning begins. It's going to need a theme. It's going to need a theme song. It's going to need some punchy storyline. And so we decide we've just found out that they have the bomb. Who is they? Albania. Why Albania? Because nobody knows or cares about Albania. Nobody knows where it is. Nobody cares. And Winifred says, but they've never done anything to us. And Breen says, well, what have they ever done for us? He's just very good at flipping things. He's amazing at talking on his feet. And you can just see easily how a country like Albania that no one cared about yesterday has become enemy number one.
Pop quiz. How much do either of you know about Albania?
Not a lot.
Yeah, same.
Literally nothing. Literally nothing. I could not show you where it is on a map. I couldn't tell you whether it's in Europe or Asia, right? I hope it's one of those two continents. I'm pretty sure it's one of those two.
I know it's in Eastern Europe.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, like, what kind of people live there. Like, what,
Albanians.
Like, yeah, but, like, are they like white settlers, or are they like from that place originally? Like, I don't know. I don't know anything about, literally nothing. I don't know anything about Albania.
Well, we learned that Jim Belushi is Albanian in this movie.
An ethnic Albanian.
Right.
Everything I know about Albania, I learned from Wag the Dog. I'm sorry to any of our Albanian listeners. Please write in. If you're
right into
Please write in. Yeah, tell us about Albania.
Tell us
we
about
would love
your
that.
culture and your country. We want to know more.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's really cool.
I'm sure I'm missing out.
So Motz decides that there needs to be like a clip to put on the TV. So he hires, he gets a soundstage, it's a giant blue screen, and he hires young Kirsten Dunst to play an Albanian refugee who's fleeing her burning village. So they shoot this, and they get her to sign an NDA. They trick her into signing an NDA so that she can never talk about this. One thing the movie never addresses is that it takes like hundreds and hundreds of people to like facilitate what they are trying to do, and it doesn't really explain how that wouldn't work in real life.
Yeah, it's absurd.
The infrastructure required for this is insane, and so someone would talk, but we're not supposed to think about that. So Kirsten Dunst has to just run through a blue soundstage, basically, and then they use a magical version of what I think is supposed to be something like Photoshop. I guess in 1997, they're using, Corel Draw or something like that.
I mean, video editing, they'd use like Premiere or After Effects or something like that. I don't know if they were using that in 97.
But,
yeah, it's a video.
You couldn't have done this back then.
Here's the clue. Here's how you know it wasn't Adobe Photoshop, because the name of that program has photo in it.
Hey, you know what?
What?
Why don't you grow some chest hair? That's what.
Wow. Okay. It's a privilege that you get to lead this recap, a thing that I do not remember agreeing to, and that there is apparently no recorded evidence of me agreeing to. I'm going to get memento tattoos whenever we have post episode discussions.
That's such a good idea. Yeah.
Caroline leads recap.
That would solve a lot of these little hiccups, you know?
Yeah.
It really would.
More memento tattoos. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Motz is looking at a bunch of different TV screens at once, or computer screens, I guess, and makes some impossible edits where basically he just presses the add war background button, and then magically the Kirsten Dunst's running footage is turned into plausible newsreel footage of her running away. She is holding a bag of Tostitos because he wanted her to be carrying a kitten. There is no suitable kitten around, so he says, we'll fix it in post. So little Tostitos cameo. And then he presses the add cat button, and now she's carrying a cat. They leak it to the press. It gets picked up. America is at war now with Albania as far as it knows. So they're feeling pretty good about this, and they need to get the president in on this visual. He does a completely scripted impromptu event with an elderly Albanian woman and her granddaughter, where the granddaughter presents the first sheaf of wheat and then allows the president a photo op where he takes his coat and then puts it on the old lady. So now we have the girl running away and the president putting his coat on the old lady. These are on the news, and public perception of the president is going up. The Firefly Girl thing is going to later pages in the newspaper. So the war is working so far.
So let's think about this for a second. Let's think about this scenario. Let's pretend we were adults in 1997 before things really went to shit, and consider this scenario. So let's say the president in this movie seems to be coded as like center-left Democrat kind of guy, right?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how would you feel if you found out, okay, the president has allegedly diddled a girl, but the election's in 12 days? What would you do? You know, vote-wise, would you still support him? Because Anne Heche's character, she seems down for the cause. She seems to really, believe in the president and wants him to win earnestly. And I don't know, how would you react to that?
It's so hard to say.
Really
I mean, I think it depends on who's on the other side of the election, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think that I'd be really principled and take a stand against child predators. I'm anti-child predation.
Same.
But I don't know,
bold.
how bad is the other candidate?
Right.
I mean, if he's molested two children, then,
exactly.
Easy choice.
I think that character matters, right? And I think that past behavior does to a certain extent dictate future expectations. So, the diddling's in the past, but if you're the kind of person who would diddle, you're probably not a very good guy, So I think that's the concern. But I mean, how bad is the other person? Maybe
Right.
they're worse.
Right.
Yeah.
They might diddle the country's future. you know?
Exactly.
Which one of them is going to increase the price of Beanie Babies? That's what I want to know. That's what I need in 1997.
Yep.
Moving on. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves. Their plan seems to be working, and the war is working as they intended it to do. But, oh no, they get arrested, and it's the CIA. And they end up going into a secret underground questioning facility. Anne Heche immediately folds. Not exactly, but she basically is like, I am on some medication that makes me do crazy things, and I need a lawyer present, and I admit to nothing, and I don't know what this is about, and I have the flu. And Breen holds fast, and he just says a bunch of just double speak mumbo jumbo, basically.
Yeah, he somehow monologues himself or monologues them out of the situation. It appears.
It kind of reminded me of the scene in what is the movie? Oh, this is going to be
Wag the Dog.
If I try to, no, it's not Wag the Dog. It was the old Western, and with Rooster Cogburn, and then the little girl who loses her arm.
True
at the
Grit.
end of the movie. True Grit, yes, True Grit. You remember that?
Remember True Grit? You love that movie.
I know. I couldn't remember it. It's all just Wag the Dog up here. Anyway, True Grit, where she manages to swindle but just talk this banker into giving her a better price on her pony, and it's just this repartee that's really, really fun to watch. And he manages to bamboozle William H. Macy into letting them go.
I know. I don't know, but I know for a fucking fact that negotiation is not a skill that Caroline possesses. I guarantee you go into a car dealership, you're paying MSRP just like Hank Hill.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm a chump. There, I said it.
Yeah,
5% more. Yep.
It's like that King of the Hill episode, and I paid the sticker price.
That's why I said like Hank Hill.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
hear that. I'm sorry. I've been trying my best. Okay, I try my best.
It's not good enough.
This is what peak performance looks like. You may not.
That's
like it.
not peak It's not peak performance. That's what middle of the bell curve performance looks like. We have high quality standards here on the Our Hero De Niro podcast.
Okay, so they've talked their way out of the CIA issue, and now we're really cooking, and we get a shot of what looks like a We Are the World parody. It's got several dozen people singing a hokey song called "We Guard Our American Borders," which kind of hits different these days. But in the middle of the recording, the other presidential candidate, Dean, who's running against the current president, he comes out and has the CIA declare that the war in Albania is over. The troops have surrendered, troops are pulling out, war's over, the end. So they realize that the CIA must have cut a better deal with Dean than whatever they had going with them. Oh no, the war is over, this is horrible, and Breen and Ames are very upset. Hoffman says, this is nothing. I've done way worse. I've been poked to the gills and trying to do a treatment at 7:30 a.m. and I haven't even read the script yet. He says a few lines like that. This is nothing, because now that the war is over, we left somebody behind. There is someone who was left behind like an old shoe. So we have Act 1, the war, and Act 2 is the war hero. He said, I made a war and I forgot to make a hero. How did I forget that? So they decide that they need to have an American hero that they can rally the country around ahead of the election. They call for all of the people in special military programs that are named shoeman or shoemaker or something that has to do with a shoe, because tossed away like an old shoe and bring back old shoe, that's very catchy. So they want somebody whose name works with that. Then Motz tasks Johnny with writing a good old shoe song of some kind, which he then does. And I gotta say, the good old shoe song, it's up there on my list of best in-universe movie songs.
It's a really good tune.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. It's an awesome song. You like the song, Mike?
It was fine. It was a nice little folksy duet. I didn't really think anything of it.
It's just the fact that it exists in this movie. It's just, I don't know. It just really works with the tone of the movie while still seeming plausible. I really liked it. It had Please Mr. Kennedy vibes from Inside Llewyn Davis. I did remember that movie title, so good for me. Anyway, this song gets planted in the Library of Congress, and now it's being played on the radio, and it's basically the theme song of America. Everybody wants to bring Old Shoe back. They find or craft a photograph of Woody Harrelson wearing a sweater with it's partly unraveled to make a Morse code message in the sweater that says "Courage, Mom." So another country singer writes a "Courage, Mom" song. So this is really working, and Motz knows what to do. They have to go pick up the soldier that they found named Schumann so that they can bring him back and then cinch the election. So off they go in a plane, but unfortunately there was a mistake made, and
a little mix-up.
Just a little mix-up, and instead of searching special military programs, they searched through special military prisons and came up with Woody Harrelson, who is in prison, is on antipsychotics, and is in prison for raping a nun, which they say several times. And
They really go for it. They really go for it.
I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm laughing at the fact that Mike laughed at the joke.
It's a comedy. What's wrong with me laughing?
it's
pretty
comedy,
funny.
Jesus.
No, just that you're laughing just thinking about it. Like, it's really good.
It's the best medicine.
So it is pouring rain outside, and Ames is understandably very upset that they have this massive, manacled, crazy person that they're going to have to sell to America as the war hero that they have been craving. But they have already signed for custody of him. The plane goes up, and then the plane comes back down again because there is a crash. Because
it's a really interesting way to phrase it. The plane goes up and then comes back down. Yes,
it does. That's what happened.
That is, or it was a rapid descent. It crashed.
It was a rapid surprise descent. Apparently the pilot of the plane dies. He has a few lines, and then after the plane crash, we never see him again, and nobody ever inquires about what happened to him. So he just died, and we never see him again. So they end up in the middle of nowhere, and they are being rescued by a man who is driving a tractor. They have everybody. It's Ames, Breen, Motz, and Old Shoe. And they end up at a general store where they are going to plan their next move in this disaster. And Schumann sees the daughter of the general store owner.
Hold on a second. Are you doing a thing? Is that how his name was pronounced in the film? Wasn't it Schumann?
It's Schumann.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
it was probably Schumann.
She's saying, well, the way you're pronouncing it, Schumann.
I'm pronouncing it like the composer.
You haven't, here we go with another Star Trek reference. You guys haven't watched Star Trek Deep Space Nine, even though it's incredible, but there's an alien bartender named Quark who calls humans humans. And I thought you were doing like some weird, I was like, what is she doing with this? Am I going crazy? Oh no, you're just mispronouncing it. That's great. Bona fides.
Schumann is my default pronunciation for that cluster of letters. So
Really says so much about you.
You married me, dude.
Christ.
You married me.
Hey, listen, I listen to more classical music than you do.
That's true.
I just
That's
remember that it was Schumann.
Old Shoe. Anyway, Old Shoe catches sight of the general store owner's daughter. I think this is supposed to be funny, but he sees her picking some crops. She bends over. She is overweight, and she's like in her pajamas. Like, this is a woman who has not expected to be admired today. She's just at home, just hanging out.
Casual Friday.
And he says, well, she looks real purty, and then goes after her. She screams. He chases her into the house. And when the general store owner hears this, he is understandably very worried about the fate of his daughter. So
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He runs after the two of them with a gun, and they realize what's going to happen. Motz is also running after them, and before they can do anything, they hear a gunshot. Motz goes into the room, which, by the way, we don't see what was happening in the room. We see the farmer turn a corner, and then we hear a gunshot, but we don't know what he saw in the room, and we never hear from him or the daughter ever again. So we don't know what happened, which is a little disturbing. So this whole scene is just a little, just makes it's a little bit skeevy, but the whole movie is a little bit skeevy in a way that you're supposed to just roll with. Motz sees something and says, "Oh wait, good news! He's not dead. He's not dead yet." We hear another gunshot. Scratch that. He's dead.
Come on, that's like Looney Tunes comedy.
Yeah, this part's funny. This part made me laugh. I didn't laugh like super too many times at this movie, but like that part definitely made me laugh. That's a good bit.
And he is a horrible person, and he gets killed, and that's also fine. So thumbs up on that.
I love that Looney Tunes humor.
So irreverent.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who's your Looney Tunes doppelganger, Caroline? You know, I'm Daffy Duck, and Mike is Foghorn Leghorn. Who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Oh gosh.
Let's take a minute, right?
Yeah, let's take a minute. Who would
Ashley
it be?
said she was Tweety Bird, right? In the Savage Salvation episode. So it's pretty important that we know this, actually.
I guess so. Probably what? Lola Bunny, right? That's my doppelganger.
Yeah, you
From the
fucking
first
wish.
Space Jam.
I mean,
I
is she Sylvester the cat, or is she Porky Pig?
Jesus. I don't have a speech impediment, though. It's like
That's true. Probably Sylvester the cat.
Hang on.
It's all about vibe. It's about energy, Caroline.
maybe Marvin the Martian.
Does Caroline have? I was thinking maybe Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, Marvin the
that's a good
Martian.
one.
Okay.
Yep. Marvin's good.
Hey, nice looking toy you got there, kiddo. What else did your daddy give you for Christmas?
Please, sir, do not interrupt my chain of thought. I'm a busy Martian.
If my dad is listening to this, you're welcome, Dad. That's his favorite Looney Tune.
He doesn't listen to the podcast.
No, he doesn't listen to the podcast.
We should start texting him an episode every week.
No,
Why doesn't
I
he
don't.
listen to the podcast?
He's a very busy man. He's watching Madagascar too.
Jesus Christ, what?
We should do a Madagascar 2 episode for him.
Oh, we
should
should.
do that for
I'd
your
rather
dad's
not.
birthday next year. That's a pretty funny
that's a
idea.
great idea.
Why don't you and Caroline make your own separate podcast and recap fucking Madagascar 2 for her dad?
It's a funny idea.
Just one episode.
Just one episode on iTunes, yeah. It's a mini series. A series
We'll
of
do
one.
like the same level of production, like artifice that we have for this podcast. It's got its own logo, like it's got all that stuff, but there will
Oh,
just
yeah.
only ever be one recap of Madagascar 2.
I like it. I like that idea. All right. Well, now old shoe is dead, and the other shoe has dropped. But Mott said,
Classic.
"This is nothing. This is nothing. This is not a problem. What's better than a hero's homecoming? Smash cut, a hero's funeral." And so we get old shoe home, but he comes back home in a box, and his loyal platoon mates of the fictional 303, they carry his coffin, and he gets full military honors. Somebody puts rubs some meat on the side of the coffin and gets a dog to follow the coffin.
This part's funny too.
Give your meat a good old rub.
Yeah, boy.
And this is gonna make you guys laugh at me, but the first time I saw this movie, I think I was about 15-ish. And, emotionally, I was a younger person back then. I was a bit of a late bloomer in some ways. And I knew what this movie was doing. But when I saw the part where, like, the dog goes up to the coffin, it made me really sad. Because even though it's fake, it's just like, oh, sometimes dogs are sad because their owners die. That's really sad. So, yeah, this would
God.
absolutely work on me. Just to
You're so susceptible to propaganda.
My recommendation today is going to be the Futurama episode Jurassic Bark.
Oh, no. No way, man.
Yeah.
Never. I
If you
don't
really
want to
really want to feel some sadness about a sad, devoted dog.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Sad at any age. Anyway, so The president's approval rating is 88%, and Motz is feeling a little bit maudlin that his life's work is over, and he says a few, again, foreshadowing things like, what am I ever going to do to top this? Someday when they tell the story, not now, but in 30 years when they tell the story. And Breen has to reiterate, we can't tell the story. We will never tell the story. You can never take credit for this. This was the most secret of secrets. And we see now that Motz isn't going to be able to handle that. And right at this moment where he is, really struggling with the fact that he's never going to get credit, he sees on the TV they are doing an interview with one of the ad campaign managers for the president, and he says that he believes that the president's meteoric rise in the light of this Albania war must have been the ad campaign, the Don't Change Horses in Midstream ad campaign that has been popping up throughout the movie. So this is the last straw for Motz. He cannot stand by while the person who wrote this takes credit for his life's work. And it is a very bad ad, and he remarks several times as he sees the ad within the movie that he hates this ad. It's a very stupid, bad ad.
It is a bad ad. He's
phone.
right about that.
Oh, yes. He picks up the phone. Breen manages to stop him, and then he puts a trench coat on and says, I'll see you. I got to fix this. I cannot let this stand. Breen makes a face at a Secret Service agent, and they go out and they kill him, and that's the end of Motz.
Yeah, they take him into a car. Yeah,
they take him into
drive
a
him
car.
away
And we get some news position, which I think is okay in this case. I know how you feel about that.
Yeah, sure.
Though.
Well, they're wrapping the movie up. Whatever.
Yeah,
sure.
Let
them have it.
Turns out that Stanley Motz died of a heart attack later that night. Poochie died on the way back to his home planet.
Mike won't get that reference.
Poochie's dead!
So he is killed. And it seems like the president is going to be reelected, and that is how the movie ends. This movie is a lot of fun to watch. It's brisk, it's tight, it's hilarious. Every performance is S tier, and it manages to just crush its satirical goals. It's even more relevant now than it was in '97, and that's real sad. So yeah, it's a comedy that will make you very, very sad about the state of the world and humans. Anyway, that is Wag the Dog, the movie. Wag the Dog, the book, is extremely dense. It has a ton more characters. It's a lot more meandering and confusing. It has some flashbacks, and critically, it concerns real events. The conceit of the book is that Operation Desert Storm was concocted for the media to get George Bush elected, and that it was all the idea of Lee Atwater on his deathbed. A lot of stuff happens, and basically, Operation Desert Storm was the result. Wag the Dog, the movie, is a better way of doing that. It's a more timeless story, and it doesn't get mired down in a lot of extraneous details. Also, the protagonist of Wag the Dog is one of those protagonists that's just kind of too good at everything, and has a backstory that's a little bit too tragic. So the book took me a while to get through. I really wasn't that excited about it, but I really like the movie, so I suffered through it, and so that I could be on this episode of the podcast and talk about Wag the Dog. And you let me do it. My gambit worked. So
yeah, I mean, I guess you probably could have been on the podcast either way because you're married to one of the co-hosts. But I respect you for making it through that slog of a novel. And with that, I'm going to thank you, Caroline, for recapping the movie this week, which I forgot that I possibly agreed to, but I think you did a great job. And
Thanks,
I'm going to resume control and bring it over to final ratings. So got to start with the guest here, Caroline. Sounds like you enjoyed it, but tell us, what is your final rating for Wag the Dog?
My final Letterboxd rating for Wag the Dog is 4.5 stars, which is
4.5.
4.5. I really like this movie. I think it's great. I didn't give it the full 5th star because the sex stuff makes me a little bit uncomfortable, and I think that's okay. So I gave it 4.5 stars.
Wow, 4.5. That's a high rating for you. Are you a high rater on average?
Both of you have said that I'm an insane rater, so, make of that what you will.
Yeah.
My ratings average looks like a castle turret. It's kind of up and down in that blocky way. I like to try and be decisive with my ratings, so I try to stick with whole numbers, because I think often I'm a little wishy-washy, so I try to stick with whole numbers.
I forgot that we've had this disagreement. That's so funny, because it's so funny to me that that's the way Caroline thinks about it. But, like, the half stars aren't waffling. Right. It's just a 10-point rating scale.
It's just a finer scale.
Right.
I'll be decisive.
I'll use a 5-point scale. So you gave it a 9 out of 10.
I did. Yeah. I did give it a 9 out of 10, and I think that is okay. In fact, I bumped it up. I watched the movie twice for this podcast, and on my second viewing, I gave it an extra half star because I think it deserves it.
All right.
I also watched it with subtitles so that I could, I had to watch it a little bit quiet because Nora was asleep upstairs, so I watched it with subtitles, and then I didn't miss any of the repartee, and the script is so tight and so good. It's amazing. It's a really, really tightly well-written script, and also a very good adaptation of a novel, because the novel was eh.
I mean, that's the magic of David Mamet, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, what do you give Wag the Dog?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 3.5 stars. I like this movie. I think it's... Yeah, I think it's certainly one of the better films that we've watched for the podcast. Absolutely. I don't love it. For me, I think I have some issues, and it's possible that these issues can be chalked up to just the fact that I have some familiarity with not the specific historical events that were occurring in this time, but with this time, right? With what the media was like in the 90s, and I don't know. I just don't really believe it. It's not very believable to me. And maybe this is just the kind of satire that doesn't work on me. And yeah, I don't know. I like the movie. It's funny. Robert De Niro's great. Dustin Hoffman's great. This is a second Dustin Hoffman appearance in the podcast, I think, right? But it's just not... didn't blow my socks off. So 3.5 stars.
You said you're going to start wearing bow ties to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, we haven't talked about it, but I love Robert De Niro's outfits in this movie. I think he's so cool. His goofy, what are those hats called that he wears? What's that kind of
bucket hat?
Bucket hat. Yeah, like a bucket hat. His bucket hats and the bow ties and everything. It's a really fun look. So that's cool, but that doesn't make it a great movie. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, for context, on Letterboxd, this film has an average rating of 3.5 out of 5, and I actually am also landing on 3.5 for my rating, which is not an indictment of the film. I liked it. Nope. I thought it was quite good. The script is smart. That's that David Mamet magic, and I really appreciated the pacing of the film. It's very tightly paced. It's only 97 minutes long. It makes its point succinctly. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's very sharp. I think it works really well as a satire. Thematically, it's touching on all of these things like media as a manufactured reality and just the erasure of accountability, which we see at several points throughout the film. And I think that's all really well done. I just didn't think it was very funny. And there were I had a couple of laughs, but overall, it was one of those films where I was watching it and I was thinking yes, that is humorous. But I didn't really find it very funny.
Subtitles on.
Yeah, I didn't need to. I listened to it. I listened with my ears, and I didn't need the subtitles on to understand the English that was being spoken at me.
Well,
yeah,
I love
it's
writing.
It wasn't.
I have a master's degree in it, and I also
no, we know. I said that at the top of the episode.
You can't because I read the book, so I understand the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
better.
I kind of am with Mike on this. It isn't funny enough to work as a satire for me.
Now it's time to bring it over to recommendations, starting with our guest, Caroline. Is there any film you'd like to recommend in addition to Wag the Dog?
There is. This is a film that also deals with the nature of reality, but in a very different way. I'm going to recommend The Truman Show. It's also kind of a 90s show about a man whose reality is not what it seems. And it's a movie that makes me just bawl from like the midpoint on. I just cry through the whole movie. One of my favorite movies. It's on my top 4 on my Letterboxd profile. That is my recommendation.
Great film. Yeah, good recommendation.
Yeah, I think, let me just say that I think The Truman Show is like the perfect recommendation for Caroline to give, because it really gets at what Mike and I are talking about when we call the way she rates movies on Letterboxd insane. Because like, I agree, right? The Truman Show is a masterpiece. It's one of the greatest films ever made. And it's a 5-star film, obviously. So
I agree.
you think that The Truman Show is only 11% better than Wag the Dog?
I mean, on different.
Being reminded of The Truman Show makes me want to lower my rating, honestly.
Jesus.
I don't want to get into an argument about it, but like, it was just the perfect encapsulation of like, of what it is that makes me say that. There's no rhyme or reason to the way these ratings relate to one another, because I know that you don't think The Truman Show is only 11% better than Wag the Dog. You probably think
it's what
like
she feels in her heart. It's her scale.
Yep.
She's allowed to give movies wonky ratings.
The only reason I have a Letterboxd account is because you two bullied me into it, and the only thing that I get from this is you just make fun of my ratings. That's all that Letterboxd has been for me, is nothing but grief. God.
I like your
All right, what's your
reviews on the
recommendation?
platform.
I
Yeah,
love
Mike,
your
what's your
reviews.
recommendation?
Oh, thank you. That's kind of
I'm going to give the obvious recommendation. I hope it's not also yours, Mike. So my
Doubtful.
recommendation is I want to make sure I get the year right. The 1964 Stanley Kubrick film, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Oh, yeah, this is the obvious recommendation,
That's a
right?
good one.
What do you need to even say, right? I mean, Dr. Strangelove is the greatest film satire ever made. It is, I think, lampooning things in a similar way. But for me, it is just so much tighter. It's so much more succinct. It's so much funnier. Like, Dr. Strangelove is so funny, and it has the same kind of like nihilistic undercurrent to it, but there's more of a frantic insanity to Dr. Strangelove, to the way the characters behave, to the way it's shot, to the way it's edited, that I think works better with this kind of like black comic satirical subject matter than the tone of Wag the Dog really works for me. And like, listen, I don't know, it's like Chinatown, right? We talked about this a few weeks ago. Like, if you haven't seen Dr. Strangelove, you should watch it, because it's like, you know, one of the 20 or 30 greatest films ever made, and everybody should have seen it. So that's my recommendation for this week.
Great recommendation. You know what? I haven't seen Dr. Strangelove, so it's moving up the list.
It's like you're
It's
going
moving up
back to the
list.
well to watch
I don't know
another
what to
one
tell
of my like canon recommendations that I'm making on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to make a recommendation that you're going to take umbrage with, and I quite frankly don't want to hear it. I'm recommending the 2017 dark political satire, The Death of Stalin, which one of my favorite films that I watched for the first time last year. It was written and directed by Armando Iannucci, the creator of the TV show Veep. And it's this like farcical look at the Soviet Union's descent into chaos after the sudden death of Joseph Stalin. You have an incredible and ensemble cast: Steve Buscemi, Jason Isaacs, Jeffrey Tambor, Rupert Friend, Michael Palin. The list goes on. Really sharp dialogue, very absurd, super funny movie. Unlike Wag the Dog, I laughed a ton during The Death of Stalin. I thought it was exceptionally funny, and I also thought it worked really well as a satire. So I loved it. I don't think Mike and Caroline especially didn't like it. She gave it 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but I think it's a fantastic film and one that I would.
Mood. I wasn't in a good.
I'm
mood.
happy to give it another chance. I mean, I don't know. I haven't
love to
seen
see
it in
it
a
too.
decade.
Give it a
I'd see
chance.
again.
Give it a chance.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Wonderful recommendations all around. All right, now it's time to roll for the next film. Mike, are you ready for this? How you feeling?
I'm ready, and I'm feeling ready as ever for Silver Linings Playbook. So
Here's hoping
so
this
let's
is
go.
it. All right.
Yep, I'm gonna roll now. I have rolled 67, which is The Good Shepherd.
Never heard of this in my life.
I don't know. same year as Arthur and the Invisibles too. So,
Well, you know why this is notable? This was produced and directed by Robert De Niro himself.
oh, okay. Well, that's kind of fun, right?
The first time
Yeah,
we've had
okay.
that in this podcast.
I'm really excited about this now. That's
that
awesome.
instantly makes me excited.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. All right, so I'll just read the first sentence as you do. The Good Shepherd is a 2006 American spy film produced and directed by Robert De Niro and starring Matt Damon, Angelina Jolie, and De Niro with an extensive supporting cast.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, sounds fun. Yep.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to our conversation about it next week. And now I'm going to go ahead and close us out. All right, that's a wrap on our Wag the Dog episode. Caroline, going to thank you not only for making our podcast artwork, but for being our guest again this week on this episode and for leading the recap.
so lucky to
Appreciate
have
it.
You are.
Oh,
You
hashtag
really are.
blessed. Feel free to follow us on Letterboxd. I'm Mike back at you. My co-host Mike is Mike the Fab. And hey, if you're feeling really crazy, follow Caroline. Her username is Bad Cree. Take a look at some of those ratings. Email us at ourherodeniro@gmail.com with your questions, comments, feedback, concerns. We are really open to receiving anything at this point. Rate us in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And hey, thank me for editing the podcast. I want to start doing that more, just to, appreciate all the hard work that I put into it behind the scenes to make this podcast great. And we'll
all
see you next
appreciate
week. Yeah, sure.
You're an American hero.
Thank you. Finally, that's more like it. And we'll be back at you next week with an episode about the Good Shepherd.
That was a beautiful episode.